Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I have come to share with you my reflection on the day of the baptism of the Lord. Permit me to say Happy New Year, since this is the first time a meeting for this year. I have captioned my reflection with you as Jesus was baptized, a symbol of our own baptism. Our references say Isaiah chapter 40 from verses 1 to 5 and 9 to 11. Psalm 103. Let us import to Titus chapter 2 from verses 11 to 14. Continue from chapter 3 from verses 4 to 7. And the gospel account of Luke chapter 3 from verses 15 to 16 and 21 to 22. The first reading that we listen today from the prophet Isaiah is what is normally called the book of the consolation of Israel. Of course, you hear the beginning as a console my people. Why are the people being consoled? It's because at this time they were in exile between the 587 BC and 538 BC. So it was a time of suffering for the people, and so they need to console them. And the prophet does that by recalling the tenants of the covenant. Yes, they were suffering, they were feeling abandoned, but they are always the covenant people. And so the prophet wants to draw the attention to the tenants of the covenant by the expression as my people, your God. Again, it was a proclamation of freedom, and to say that the people have received they have been purged by their suffering. When you hear say speak to the heart, speak to Jerusalem, speak to their hearts, and tell them that they have received double punishment for all their fault. You know, in Israel, it was a tradition that a thief restitutes what he or she has stolen 2 times. It's like if you have stolen a cow, you have to pay 2 cows. And so there is a way to say that they have suffered enough. They have been purged. They have suffered a long time, and they have received their freedom. When they say also the expression there also, feeling the mountain, feeling the valley and living the mountain, it was an allusion that made to the people of Israel when they were in Babylon suffering. It was a tradition that every year that they prepare for the celebration of the Marduk god. This god is celebrated. Meanwhile, it was the people of Israel who prepare, and then after that it will be for the celebration of the statue of this God. And so for the Jewish who believe in the true God, it was a humiliation and insult. And so the prophet tells them that this time around, the filling of the valley and the mountain will be for their return to their own land, and for the praise of the God of Israel, the living God. The Psalm 103 that we listen today can be compared to the hymn, the ancient hymn that is popular in Egypt, the hymn to the song by the king Akhenaton, who reigned in Egypt. And so it was possible that the people of Israel who came in contact, who were in exile in Egypt also, had come in contact with this hymn, and they have adopted it. Yes, it is. It is a hymn composed to the God of the song. but it is not the same because the people have adopted it and they have transformed it. They have given it, it's now addressed to the living God. Of course, there is also a sense of personalized. They have the personification. They have personalized it. They have personalized it, and then it is now sung to the living God, singing of their own proper experience. Of course, if the song were there, it was because the sun was created by God. The book of Genesis, the author says it was not even given them, it was given as the greater light and the lower light. So it is a way to say that God, the hymn should be sung by God. Why Akhenaton had just focused it to the God of the sun. And so with God, every praise should be given. And so the psalm ends by saying that you take away your breath, we are dismayed, and you renew the face of the earth when your face shines. The letter of St. Paul to Titus that we listen today, to understand it better, we need to know what Paul says in this letter of St. Paul to Titus chapter 1 verse 12, when he talks about the Cretans as liars, as wicked people, as beasts. And now what he wants to do is to say that these Christian people, the Christian community found, should not be anything like those people. Why? Because they have been redeemed. They are the redeemed people of God. They are now to be they are now to act differently, not like liars, not like beasts, not like those who will drink when he will give direction for who will be a bishop. And so it's a way of saying that when these things are done, you will now overcome divisions and the difficulties that could come, or quarrels that could have come from living together in the community that he was addressing. And so he says that by doing this, we show that you are a new people, you are a baptized person. Baptized means that you are now put in the nature of God. You belong to the Christian community. You are no longer like any other person. The gospel account that we listen today tells us about the story of the baptism of the Lord as recorded by Luke. John didn't give us this account, but Luke, Mark, and Matthew, the synoptic gospels, they give us this. But what is particular about that of Luke is that Luke mentioned that there were other persons also who were being baptized. And he also mentioned that Jesus prayed. And it was while he was praying that they experienced that the voice of the Father was heard, and that the Spirit descended like a dove. And now what is happening here is that this sense of prayer gives us the communion. Of course, Jesus have always treasured the communion with the Father, and is in this communion that he relates with the Father. Of course, baptism in itself should be an immersion into the divine life. Our own baptism should be immersion into the divine life, human life into divine life. And so there can be no baptism without communication, without faith. And if in this year we have listened to a lot of prophecies, a lot of revelations, and if we have made a lot of New Year resolutions, and we do not have this divine encounter with God, which will transform us into the life of God, we can be sure that they will not last, or those revelations may not even come to pass. What is important is that we have our baptism. We need to know that our baptism catapults us into the divine life. So we need to live the old life of quarrels, like the Cretans that we saw, or the god of the god of the hymns, whatever deity that we are used to, whatever could have been. We need to get rid of them this new year, so as to embrace the loving God in His entirety, so that we can enjoy the best of the year in God. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord grant you the grace to share His life, His divine life, this year and always, so that it will be a true covenant people, a baptized people, and a blessed people.